Well, welcome everyone to the Masters of Travel series. I am John Werner, president of Mass Travel Network, a network of over 1,000 travel advisors who plan trips all over the world, including lots of spectacular cruise vacations. My guest today is Derek Lloyd, vice president of agency sales North America. Derek, why don't you say a few words about yourself and the work that you do at Norwegian Cruise Lines and why we're going to talk about the Norwegian Prima today.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you inviting me on today, John. So yes, I am VP of agency sales for North America. What that essentially means is I and my team of people work with all of those 1,000 consultants that you had mentioned to help know our product better, have a better sense, do some training, help advertise, etc. Because the majority of the bookings that we see are coming through advisors just like yourself. So it's really important that we do this type of stuff together, and it's so fantastic to actually talk about some really positive stuff with the new ships coming out, and that's what we're gonna talk about today, because the ship that we're focusing on today is the first of an entirely new class of vessels. It's not just a new ship, it's the first of her kind. So that's kind of exciting.
That's great. And I'm really looking forward to talking about the elements and features of the new ship, and we're going to get into that in a moment. But first, we're going to show a short video of entitled "A First in Class Ship."
Introducing Norwegian Prima, the first in a new class of ships. Made for the trailblazers and tastemakers, for first-time seekers and explorers of the spectacular. Made for you. With more wide-open spaces to enjoy the great wide open. Rooms that have more room, and service that puts you first. Be the first to discover a new experience at sea. Norwegian Prima. Coming summer 2022.
So what is the genesis for creating a new class of cruise ship?
So that's a really interesting question. So cruise lines tend to build classes of ships, and there's multiple reasons for that. Partially, there's economies of scale when you're building a class of ship, when you're contacting the shipyards, and it allows us to plan further out. So the Prima that's coming out in 2022. We're going to have Prima 2 and Prima 3 and Prima 4. Those aren't the actual names, but that's the placeholder names, coming out for every subsequent year after. And the nice thing is for clients is we talk to clients all the time that they have a favorite class of ship. And so I'll talk to people who love the Jewel class. And the Jewel class encompasses 6 different ships of ours, or the Breakaway class, which is 5-ish of ours. And so it's what's nice is we can look at the learnings from all of our other ships, and we can say, okay, so now let's start fresh, take what we really like on these other classes of ships, put it into a new idea, a new concept, as well as try to plan a little bit forward for the future. And so, for example, the Prima class is actually a little bit smaller than the last class of our ships, because we want to look at, okay, where are the different places in the world that we want to go to that maybe one of the 4,000 passenger ships can't get to. It gives us a little more flexibility.
Yeah, very true. So how did the name Prima come about?
Well, so there's a couple reasons for that. One is this is the first time in a while that we built ships in Italy. So Prima, the first in Italian. We wanted to sort of give a little bit of a shout out to the Italian aspect of that. Of course, Italian seafaring is such a an influence on the entire industry. So and also it sounds Prima. It's the first. It's an elevation of our brand of ships, and we'll see as we talk about it a little bit. So thought it was an appropriate name for the first of her kind.
Yeah, it really looks beautiful and very sleek and elegant. Very nice looking ship.
And notice on this, so the hull art is a design component of our ships that's kind of unique to Norwegian. Notice, and you can see on this picture, the hull art is actually extending up to essentially the bridge.
Yes, yeah. No, it's very, very impressive, and a work of art in itself.
Absolutely.
And I noticed too when looking at the ship and on your website and looking at all the pictures and the descriptions of what the ship is like, I noticed that the guest experience is going to really come outdoors. Traditional cruise ships, a lot of the interiors have always been very beautiful, but this ship really gets people outdoors, and so it takes being at sea, gives it a whole new meaning. So I'll bet all of the creative minds that on this project had lots of fun designing those outdoor spaces. Tell us about that.
Well, that's kind of interesting because what you've seen over the years as ships have gotten larger, it tends to be the focus is on the inside. And so you see more and more inside space. And in a way, what we didn't want to have is we didn't want to lose the connection to the ocean. And so with the breakaway class of ships that we had just the previous, we had the waterfront, which was on deck 8, which is nice because that's lower down than the typical sort of top decks of the ships. And it created sort of a nice flow between the inside and the outside space on any of our ships. So you could go from, you could actually have an alfresco dining in Cagney's restaurant outside on the deck. And we've really ramped that up with Ocean Boulevard on board the Prima, and so you'll see a lot of the stuff that we've announced so far is all along that Ocean Boulevard, and there's a lot of design elements and neat sort of areas and Instagrammable places, as well as dining options, etc.
Yeah, really nice. And another new feature I saw on the ship was about the infinity pools, and of course, other ships have built what I call hanging hot tubs, over the side. But I've not seen infinity pools before.
Mm-hmm.
It really looks awesome. I can't think of any place else to be that is more relaxing than sitting in one of them right now. How many of the infinity pools will you have on board the Prima?
So the image that you see here, this is one of the 2 of the infinity pools that are on Ocean Boulevard. And then we have a third within the Haven complex. And I know we'll probably get to the Haven at some point. What's great about this, and again, I talked about connection to the ocean, just look at this photo. I mean, it looks like you're going straight from the pool into the ocean, which, again, when people go on a cruise, I think part of the appeal there is feeling like you're at sea, you're on the ocean, you're connected to that.
Oh, I agree. So what are the capacity of these pools, and are they heated?
So they are full pools. They're not like as you called it, the floating jacuzzi. So depending on depending on how you stack people, I don't know on the capacity, but they are full. They are like a swimming pool that you would see on any other ship. We've got it, as I said, 2 of them. We do have the capacity of heating them. So when we're in some of our northern climates, like when we're doing Iceland, etc., in the Caribbean, hopefully it's not necessary.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And so I know, this is along Ocean Boulevard, as you call the outside of the ship around that deck. What other unique experiences is someone going to find on Ocean Boulevard?
So Ocean Boulevard, as I said, it's sort of that deck 8 area. And so we've got the infinity pools. That's going to be kind of a big element to it. We've also got, we're also launching a new concept with so we've got dining. We've got the Indulge Food Hall, which you can't call it a food court because that's something where we don't want people to think like that. Think of it as, it's kind of the food halls, are kind of the newest rage right now. You go to New York City and there's this concept, and it's sort of like a central area with different food stations and food trucks and all of this. And so that's going to be kind of a really neat aspect on board where you can go down and there's noodles bar and there's a healthy option and just all sorts of different concepts there.
Yeah.
We've got a couple other restaurants that we've announced as well on off of Ocean Boulevard. So Los Lobos, which we've had on a few of our newest ships. Really neat premium Mexican restaurant. So it's not Tex-Mex burritos type thing. It's like really good, authentic Mexican food. When I ate on Los Lobos on the Bliss, I had probably the best mole sauce of my life. Like so definitely had some heat. Really, really good. And then we've got Onda Bar Scarpetta, which is another restaurant that'll have an indoor and an outdoor component off of Ocean Boulevard. So that's what we've announced so far. There's still some more stuff to come. Yeah. But then we've got lounge areas outside. There's hammocks. As I mentioned, the pools. There's also, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to be on this one in particular, but there's glass bridges. So picture this: 8 stories up, connection from in sort of the midsection of Ocean Boulevard with full glass floors. So, people are going to be taking their photos on that. I will probably just be walking very quickly and not looking down.
Right. Now, some of those track people and others try to avoid the glass.
Yeah, I totally know that my colleagues are probably going to make me go out on this glass walk at some point in time, but
sure. Oh,
yeah. And then we've got an outdoor sculpture garden too, and that again is sort of just a neat visual focus for that. So where we've got these sort of I think there's 6 sculptures, and they're sort of industrial but also like a Greek mythology type of design. There'll be different light features, so what you see during the day versus what you have at night will be different. Again, probably a really good spot to get a selfie or send an Instagram post, etc. So that's there's going to be a lot going on board Ocean. What I like about it is, so on the waterfront on Breakaway, it's phenomenal, and it starts to pick up later on in the afternoon. People are sort of the dining, the restaurants, etc. It's not used as much as maybe it could be during the day. Mm-hmm. What I really like with the development with Ocean Boulevard is it's very much going to be a morning till night place to hang out. Yeah. So, I think that's a nice development on board the Prima.
Oh, I think so. I agree, because I'm an outdoor person. So, hanging out on Ocean Boulevard would be, right up my. Now, I did notice with the Indulge Food Hall, it does look incredibly inviting. And, it's like, I want to try all the restaurants, of course. There's a food truck feeling at the top of the truck. Other restaurants have a counter seating, like in a 50s diner, not in a retro sense, but very comfortable and sophisticated. It really looks cool. So you were describing just a moment ago about some of the cuisine one can find in the food hall. And again, we're not talking about massive rows of tables.
No.
It's very intimate and very
small corners, small pockets, areas. Yes.
So how many restaurants are located in the Indulge Food Hall altogether, with as far as the different types of cuisine?
So there's 11 what we're calling sort of mini restaurants / food truck options. So some of them will be, a little bit larger than others. Some of them will be little counters, but yeah, 11 different options. And so, what people might do is they might go to Tamara to get some Indian cuisine for their main course, or maybe go to the garden to get a salad. And so you can sort of hop around a little bit. But again, it's nice having all of these different options.
Yeah, that's perfect. And, it's completely different than, buffet areas that you
Right.
would find on most, on cruise ships. Each restaurant, the pictures look very intimate, or neighborhood feeling, like as if you were just like walking down the street in a neighborhood, and then you
Yeah.
drop in on your favorite
Yeah. And
restaurant.
there's Starbucks. Starbucks will be there. We've got our famous Coco's desserts, dessert bar, dessert restaurant, where they, massive sundaes, etc.
Sure. Now, I also noticed that, so with Ocean Boulevard and other deck areas, Norwegian Prima converts the traditional promenade, often lined with, plastic deck chairs on a lot of ships of yesteryear, but really making the outside areas of the ship be the center of life on board. Now, you've described many of the areas around Ocean Boulevard. Are there other areas, like would you say on the outside of the ship, or the outdoor areas of the ship, that are also very new, innovative, first time ever on a cruise ship?
Well, so there's a couple. So for one, we've only just started talking about the Prima. So at the moment, all we've officially announced is Deck 8. So Deck 8 is what we're talking about here with Ocean Boulevard. There's definitely more to come. We still need to talk about the entire upper deck area. Like on our other ships where there's the main pool area and all of that. So there will be more reveals, I should say, to come, which will be kind of neat. We've talked about the big screen at sea. We've talked about fire pits, which I have no idea how we're working them yet, but there's going to be some neat elements there. I think in a few of the photos, and I mentioned it earlier, there's hammocks outside. How cool would it be to be on deck, sitting as the ocean's going by in a hammock on a cruise ship?
Right.
So.
Yeah, phenomenal. I noticed also in my reading of the different types of accommodations aboard Norwegian Prima, and talking about larger cabins, more square footage in them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, there's the Haven. And I'm going to, before I start asking you some questions about the Haven, we have a short video to show. So Derek, let's talk about the Haven. I think of it's not just another category of accommodations. It's the ultimate in having an exclusive experience, luxury at sea, the level of personal attention. I think I've stayed in Haven accommodations on another one of your ships, I think on the Bliss perhaps, and so it rivals the service that you'd get on a land resort, but yet it's not obtrusive in any way. You get a great sense of privacy. There's solitude. So obviously a huge draw for people who want to get away and de-stress. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like having the best of both worlds, where you can travel in luxury, visiting the world's iconic and most amazing places, have incredible cuisine and entertainment right outside your door, but yet it's an escape. Do you have some stories that you could share with about the Haven experience you've heard from other guests?
Yeah, so I think of it, and the way I always talk about it is it's a ship within a ship. It's like we took a luxury high-end ship, and as you know, within the Norwegian family is also Oceania and Regent, two luxury products. But it's almost like we've taken a small luxury ship and put it on top of the contemporary ship that Norwegian is about. And so you're getting the best of both worlds. You've got, as you mentioned, you've got this sort of this private enclave. It's key card access. You've got a private lounge area, private restaurant area, butler service, large rooms. So you've got all of these advantages, and yet, so you can have the seclusion and the solitude and the relaxed, and then you step out of the haven and you're immediately in, the action and all of the stuff going on in the casinos and the big shows and the multiple dining options. And so you've really again, you've got the best of both worlds. And so for anybody who likes the idea of going on something, a luxury type of product, but wants entertainment, or you're going with a family and you need to, have appeal to all elements of the family, the Haven's a great option. You hear stories of the service elements where, somebody's kid joked that they only liked the red gummy bears when the butler brought over the bowl full of gummy bears, and the next day they had actually gone through and picked out just the red ones for the guest. Like little stories like that are always so, but also just simple things like the bartender, when you go, immediately knows what your drink is. And that if you want to have hors d'oeuvres and cocktails served in your room at 4:30 in the afternoon as you get ready, or for the evening type thing, that's all doable in the Haven. And with the Prima in particular, what's neat is, so on our other ships where we've got the Haven, it's at the top of the ship, usually in the middle or towards the forward. And there's the pool in the center, and all of the Haven suites surround the pool, sort of looking in. What's neat with the Haven, what we've done is we've moved the Haven complex to the very back, to the aft of the ship. And so that's where, for example, one of those, that third infinity pool is. So all of the, it's essentially looking out versus looking in. And then all of the Haven suites will line up towards the aft of the ship, all with private elevator access to that lounge that I mentioned, to the restaurant, to all of that. And so it's an evolution of the Haven concept. And from everything I've seen, it's going to be absolutely spectacular.
Oh, I'll bet. I know it's super gorgeous. The Haven section on your other ships. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the itineraries. The first season of the Norwegian Prima will be summer of 2023, right? Or no, 2022. Mm-hmm. And you're showcasing both the Caribbean and ports on this side of the Atlantic, as well as on the other side of the Atlantic, particularly in Northern Europe, Iceland, the coasts of Belgium and the Netherlands, and Norway, and across the Baltic Sea as well. But what are the reasons for having such a variety of itineraries? Because usually a ship runs a certain pattern for a period of time, but the itineraries I'm seeing are the ship is moving around quite a bit.
Yeah, and I'm really excited by the itineraries, and you're right. Typically, when we bring out a new ship, we'll position her in a home port, and we'll run sort of 7-day cruises over and over. We with the Bliss, when she first came out, she started in Alaska. She did 7-day over and over, and it makes sense in one way. But the nice thing is with the Prima, again, slightly smaller ship, we can do the itinerary. We have more flexibility on the itineraries. So what we're saying with the Prima is we're doing an inaugural tour. So to your point, yeah, we're starting her off in Northern Europe, and we're doing Copenhagen, Reykjavik. We're doing the transatlantic, which is almost sold out at this point, is a 12-day from Southampton. And it's a really neat transatlantic, because it's not the typical one that sort of goes, south through the Canary Islands and maybe across. She's actually going north. So British Isles, Reykjavik, Halifax, New York, really kind of neat. And then we're doing New York to Galveston, so around Florida, et cetera. And then a Galveston to Miami. And in the winter we'll be doing a few rotations from Miami as well as Port Canaveral, but then she launches back up again to heading back up the coast and from New York over to Reykjavik, and then a whole bunch doing Iceland. Iceland's such a popular destination these days. So you're right. It's I think for anybody, whether people have cruised with Norwegian or not before, it's very, very itinerary focused. Yes, there's tons of great stuff on the ship, but the itineraries really, really stand out.
Yeah, I think so. I also see some other very enticing itineraries that include both Great Stirrup Key and Harvest Cay in Belize.
Yeah.
So both Norwegian's private islands and two opportunities off the ship to feel the sand between your toes and watch the palm trees sway in the tropical breeze. And I think this is also a first in the way the itineraries are designed. I haven't seen that combination before. And of course, then you still have the diversity of cultures, the privacy of the island resorts that will carry the same standard and quality with those on the ship. And how is the Norwegian Prima able to move around so quickly and cover just a whole many places, I guess, in a short period of time?
Well, partially it's because we're doing longer itineraries with her. So we're doing more sort of 11, 12-day type itineraries versus the standard 7. And of course, you add a couple more days to a cruise and you can just go so many more places. And I've got to say, personally, I mean, 7 days is great, but I'm just starting to get relaxed by the time it's coming to an end. To me, at 12 days, about the perfect length of cruise. So we're doing some different things like that the one cruise that I mentioned, the Galveston to Miami, we're going all the way down to the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, which, you know, from Galveston you typically don't see, even from Miami you don't typically see, because it's so far south. So, you know, again, it goes back to that, we're very, very itinerary focused. It becomes challenging for your 1,000 advisors to keep track of where the ship is when, but it just provides so many options for people, you know, to get on a new ship and also see somewhere different.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I did think the itineraries were quite varied and combinations that you don't typically see. And that's right, because if you're adding on a couple of extra nights, a 9-night cruise, 10-night cruise, 11 nights or whatever, there just is so much more.
There really is. Yeah. I love those slightly longer itineraries.
Yeah, no, I can believe it that they'll sell well. So this new ship, of course, will be out by a year from now. And the second of the Prima class, when is that out?
I think actually a little less than a year after the Prima comes out. I think it's about 11 months from then, and then it's about a ship every year for the next 6 years. So yes, we've got 6 ships in the Prima class that'll be coming.
Wow, well, that's just going to be amazing. What else do you want to tell us about the ship itself, or in Norwegian Cruise Line? What else should we know?
Well, you know, in terms of the ship itself, just pay attention, because there's more to come. There's going to be more reveals and more exciting stuff, and we're going to be talking more about, you know, because Norwegian's all about we're a phenomenal ship for people that are looking for entertainment options and food. And so we'll be seeing more when it comes to the restaurants. We'll be seeing more when it comes to the entertainment options on board. As you know, on a bunch of our other ships, we've got, you know, headline style entertainment. You know, we've got Kinky Boots on other ships. We've got, Six on ships. We've got just all sorts of different entertainment options. So there will be more coming about the ship. So there's lots of exciting stuff. And, you know, the most exciting thing is we're going to be sailing in July. It's been a tough year for everybody, cruise lines included, and we're really, really excited that in late July, the Norwegian Jade is going to be sailing from Athens, followed by the Bliss in Alaska out of Seattle. So it's nice to be back to the water, to be talking about actual sailings and that. So it's kind of an exciting time.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think traditional cruisers and new to cruise passengers or guests are looking forward to all the cruise possibilities and and of course the brand new ship is really exciting, and it's just great to see and have something to really look forward to. Well, with that, I guess is there anything else? Any last comments?
I just would say, thank you to you, John, your network. It's been a rough year for everybody. The service provided by your travel advisors is so important. It's always been important, but especially now, I would say, just because there's a lot of things to navigate as we get back out to the water and as we get traveling again. And it's the travel advisors who know all that stuff and can put it all together and say, okay, well, here's what you need here, and here's how we book these flights, and here are the options on insurance and all of that. It's just so critical that clients use that expertise, because that's really what it is expertise. We are so grateful that we're coming out of this last 15-16 month period. We've got 17 ships that we're now talking about bringing back to the ocean and bringing back to the sea. I know the crew are so ready to be back to it. We hear about them on the ships, and they're right now they're getting back to it, and they're practicing, and they're running through, how do you cook dinner again, and how do you do it, how do you make up a cabin, and they're all 100% excited about welcoming our guests back.
Yeah, and such great crew on your ships as well, and I can't wait to also get back on a ship and meet the crew on the vessel, and it'll just be a great time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you, Derek. We really appreciate you spending some time with us today and talking about an exciting new ship and moving forward in cruising. So thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Masters of Travel. You can find us on Facebook at Mass Travel Network, on Instagram at Mass Travel Network, and on Twitter at MVP Travel. If you would like to find a travel advisor near you, please direct message any of our social media sites